if you list off, okay, which Cardinals are most important to this team's success this year, right? I mean, obviously Kyler Murray, and you go through some of the names you'd expect: Trey McBride, Marvin Harrison Jr., James Conner. But when you get to a little bit of the more under the radar guys that are very vital for this team to have success, Paris Johnson Jr. and Sean Murphy-Bunting almost are in like their own tier, right? Because Paris Johnson Jr., you just have to be good at left tackle.
Yeah.
Like that just has to happen. Sean Murphy-Bunting, like you just said, well, if you have to be the pro in the corner room, you have to be CB1. That just has to happen.
Right.
Because all the questions that we're asking are about who's going to be the other corners. Sean Murphy-Bunting just has to be locked in as the number one corner. And he could do it, certainly, but I don't know that anything's a lock right now.
Right, exactly. And it's a situation, too, where the Arizona Cardinals are going to have to scheme pressure based on their needs. They're going to have to do that. They're going to have to scheme it. It's going to have to come from bringing five. You just don't really know which five are coming. Or you're going to bring a blitz. You're going to rush 6, maybe even 7. Maybe even 7 if you go cover 0 and you've got to – man, what are you going to do? Honestly, right now, they have to scheme pressure. And that means Nick Rawlis, of course, and JG. I'm sure JG is going to be working very closely with Nick Rawlis on this in regard to how to scheme pressure. That's always the secondary's best friend is pressure on a quarterback. And if you don't get that pressure on a quarterback, now all of a sudden, I don't care if you're Deion Sanders, at some point in time, you might give up some catches.
NFL receivers are going to get open if they've got 7 seconds to run around, right? Yeah, so this is the other side of it. I mean, if you look at the Cardinals this season, you look at the offense, there's a lot of reason to be excited. And we've said on this show, I know I've said it multiple times, I think this defense can be better than a lot of people are maybe expecting. But the reality is what you just said. The pass rush took a hit last weekend with the B.J. Ojulari news, and there's a lot of questions in the secondary outside of Buddha and Jalen Thompson. So that's where this team could get into trouble. If you can't put pressure on the opposing quarterback and you don't have the corners to make amazing plays, that's the weakness of this team right now. So that's why Sean Murphy-Bunting is so important.
Yes, to your point, though, Luke, there are some teams based on earnings that are out there right now that have really, really good corners. Really good secondary overall, right? That coverage will allow them to actually get pressure on other teams because they're so good in terms of coverage. That is another way you can generate pressure, but obviously that means you've got some lockdown dudes on the outside.
Here's Sean Murphy-Bunting yesterday talking about the cornerback room as a whole.
I think every day we worked hard and we pushed to get to something different. I think every guy kind of honed in on the things that they needed to, whether it was eyes, whether it was that's just your foundation, your details, your technique, and obviously refining those every single day is going to make you a better player. And I think we all took a jump. Every player in that room, came every single day, worked hard, pushed each other, and just fought for the team and fought for what we needed.
Your thoughts on that, Luke?
It goes back to what you said earlier. He's the leader. He's the leader, and he wasn't here last year, and he's 27. So, again, can he do it? Yeah. Look, Monty Austinfort has already, in whatever it's been, like 18 months, built up enough equity where if Monty believes this guy can come in and do it, until proven otherwise, I believe this guy can come in and do it. But he's got to do it now. The season starts in just a few weeks. The preseason starts in like 30 hours, so we're going to start to see it.
Yes, and once again, the Arizona Cardinals, I think, are going to have to scheme their pressure. They're going to have to do that. They don't have 4 guys. They can just line up and be better than the 5 guys trying to block them. As a matter of fact, it was really interesting because JG, if you remember JG as the defensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles, oh my goodness, they had 4 guys that could get to the quarterback. They had 4 guys. They had a pass rush with the Eagles that was really, really good. 4 guys who could get pressure on the opposing quarterback. They could just go ahead, drop 7, and play.
Yeah.
Play coverage.
And they went to the Super Bowl because of that. Yeah.
Exactly right. So that's not going to be the case here. It's not going to be the case, unfortunately. That means you got to scheme your pressure. I don't think you can really count on getting coverage sacks, okay, because your secondary is so good in terms of coverage. Now, would that be nice? Suddenly, Starling Thomas V, he's locking people down left and right all over the place. And listen, he's in competition to be a starter on this team. There's no doubt about it. He's had a very, very good camp. But, man, right now, the best way to get pressure, I think, for the Cardinals is to scheme that pressure.
This is not what this conversation was necessarily expected to be about, but as we're having it,
yeah,
it does sort of raise Budda Baker's value, doesn't it? Like, I know
Budda always raises the value of everything.
Because we had the conversation, last week or whatever, like, okay, are you going to be willing to pay a safety that much money when you're already paying Jalen Thompson a good amount? Like, you have two of the higher paid safeties in football, but they're probably two of the best safeties in football. But the corners are just so young that it's like everything you're saying, it's like, okay, they don't necessarily have like just a pass rush on talent alone, and they don't have shutdown corners yet. So it is nice to at least have Budda and Jalen Thompson running around back there. You brought up Starling Thomas. Here's Sean Murphy-Bunting on what he's seen from him.
I love Star. And Star is actually somebody that I gravitated towards when I first got here during OTAs. We actually went out to dinner together. We went to lunch at Nobu. If anybody likes Nobu, I like to go there too. But yeah, he's another guy, man, that shows up every day, that works hard. He knows the scheme, the in and outs of the defense. He knows concepts on offense. He speaks highly in the team meeting room, in the defensive meeting room, and he knows what's going on. And he shows up, like I said, he's always doing the right thing. He's very consistent with what he does. And yeah, his game is getting better and better every day as well.
It'd be nice to have somebody like that who wasn't necessarily expected to pop this year.
Yeah, right.
So, I mean, they're going to need that from a couple players.
Luke, can I ask you something?
Yeah.
What is Nobu?
I have never been to Nobu.
Okay, Nobu. Do you know what that is, Mel?
Isn't that where Jerry Jones said he wanted to go to, too?
Are you going?
What?
So Nobu is like a Japanese restaurant.
Oh.
It's up, by Scottsdale Fashion Square where Ocean 44 is. And
okay.
Yeah.
All right, Nobu. All right. I had no idea.
Yeah.
It's like, what? What is Nobu?
I think I've driven by it, but they don't let me in there.
Very bougie.
Bougie.
Yeah.
You know what bougie is, Base and Onions?
Just walk in, say bougie. That's the code
right.
word, and they will serve you.
Okay,
Okay. So that's all you got to do.
Has anyone had a restaurant named Bougie?
Are we opening a restaurant?
Be
Is
kind
that
of
what's
cool
happening right
there,
now?
Right? Just bougie.
What would we serve at bougie?
I mean, something fancy, I'm sure. Right?
Not
I thought you were
burgers.
gonna say
By the way,
barbecue.
Yeah.
It might be copyrighted by Migos, though. Wolf, do you know who Migos is?
no, I do not, as a matter of fact.
They have a song,
Migos.
Bad and Bougie.
Yeah, but
Okay.
I feel like the word was already out, though, before that.
What do you mean, the word?
That word had already been invented. So, but you don't want to get into a legal battle with Migos over your restaurant. So,
Just so
Rick does
bougie.
bring up a very valid point. Anyway, that's what we got out of the cornerback room. Wolf's going to Nobu before the game.
Yeah, Nobu.
Thanks for watching Wolf and Luke. Tap to see more and click the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.